My name is Tori Fairfax. I'm 34 years old, and 3 weeks ago, my parents sold our family home in Portland for $1.8 million and gave every dollar to my older sister, Meredith, telling me to be happy for her new start, even though $200,000 of that house had come directly from me, money my grandmother Eleanor left me in 2012 to build my future. What my parents forgot, or hoped I'd forget, was that I had kept the paperwork, a signed agreement from August 2012 stating that my $200,000 contribution represented 40% ownership of the home's value upon sale, a document they laughed off back then as just family paperwork, assuming I'd never enforce it because who sues their own parents, right? Growing up, I was always the responsible one, the accountant, the fixer, while Meredith struggled. Dropped out of college twice, married young, had kids, and became the family emergency, which somehow made me the family ATM, lending tens of thousands over the years that were never repaid, always reminded that I had the ability and she had the need, a dynamic that slowly erased me. When my grandmother died in 2012, she left me that $200,000 intentionally because I was the granddaughter who showed up every week, and my mother resented me for it, accusing me of manipulation, then quickly reframing the inheritance as a family opportunity by asking me to put it into the house, promising me equity, something my best friend Claire insisted I get in writing, which turned out to be the smartest advice of my life. For 12 years, I worked hard, built a career, even paid additional money toward repairs and taxes on that house, trusting that when the time came, my parents would honor their word. But in October 2024, I got a phone call telling me the house had sold and the money was already decided to go to Meredith because she needed it more. And when I reminded my mother of the agreement, she laughed and said no one would take it seriously. Something finally snapped, and with Claire's support, I hired a real estate attorney, Nathan Webb, who confirmed the agreement was legally binding under Oregon law. And with one phone call to the real estate company, the sale was frozen, triggering panic my parents never expected. As the closing approached, I learned Meredith knew about my contribution and had dismissed it as a gift, assuming I'd understand, like I always did, which hurt more than anything else, but it also clarified the truth. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a decision. On the day of closing, I walked in with my lawyer and the documents, calmly asserting my claim in front of everyone. And when the agreement was placed on the table, my father turned white because he remembered typing it himself, while my mother tried to minimize it, until the buyers refused to proceed and the sale collapsed on the spot. The aftermath was brutal. Guilt calls, threats, relatives being told I was greedy, but this time I had receipts, and when I shared them, the family narrative shifted, revealing I wasn't the first person my mother had tried to erase. Under pressure from their own lawyer and the buyers, my parents finally agreed to settle, acknowledging my $720,000 share. And although my mother never truly apologized, hearing her admit "it was yours" closed a chapter I'd carried for decades. When the money finally hit my account, I didn't feel triumph, just relief, like setting down a weight I didn't know I was allowed to put down. And I used part of it to create a small scholarship in my grandmother's name, honoring what she wanted for me all along, a solid foundation. My life since hasn't changed dramatically, but it's changed deeply. I bought my own condo, asked for and received the raise I deserved, started therapy, learned that being the good daughter had cost me my voice, and that boundaries aren't cruelty, they're clarity. My family relationships are different now, limited, quieter, more honest, and for the first time, I'm no longer disappearing to keep the peace. If there's one thing this story taught me, it's that keeping records isn't distrust, it's self-respect, and choosing yourself isn't betrayal, even when the people you're choosing yourself against are family. The document didn't just protect my inheritance, it proved that my contributions mattered, that I mattered, and that no one, parents included, gets to rewrite your worth if you're brave enough to stand up and say no.